Hey family, finally off work. Thought I was going to come on today to chat with you guys about Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden. But yeah, according to my algorithm, I have other things that I need to discuss with you. So, gosh, where do we start? I guess we'll start here.
I don't want to hear another person saying like, "Oh, libraries are neutral spaces. Libraries are neutral politically." Donald Trump has fired Carla Hayden, the Librarian of Congress, the most qualified person for the job. She was fired.
The Librarian of Congress. Why did you choose to do that?
We felt she did not fit the needs of the American people. There were quite concerning things that she had done at the Library of Congress in the pursuit of DEI and putting inappropriate books in the library for children, and we don't believe that she was serving the interests of the American taxpayer well, so she has been removed from her position, and the president is well within his rights to do that.
Good morning, players. Yet another instance of the Frump and Dump administration showing us that they think the American people are absolutely stupid. The Library of Congress does not function like your local library. You can't just walk up in there and check out books or whatnot. They make historical materials available to members of Congress for research. They have to turn that material back into the Library of Congress. They work to preserve historical material. And the reason why the conservatives don't like her is because she has been working since her tenure began to preserve Black historical photos and content. And this is why your DEI hire press secretary should be fired, because she doesn't even understand how the Library of Congress works. And it's absolutely disturbing.
The first Black person, the first woman, the first professional librarian to lead the Library of Congress in 70 years was fired. So how did they do her? They fired her by email at 7:30 p.m. on a Thursday night. 2 sentences, no title. The email reads, "Carla, I'm writing to inform you that your position as the Librarian of Congress is terminated effective immediately. Thank you for your service." And here's the kicker. She only had 1 year left on her 10-year term. And before her appointment, there was no term limit. I mean, make it make sense. Dr. Hayden is a national treasure who modernized the library, and she's known for her Of the People initiative.
Of expanding access, enhancing services, strengthening capacity, and fostering innovation for the benefit of our users. And a growing digital collection, the library takes tremendous pride in its role as the steward of the national collection. We are providing more programs and services than ever before, while modernization automation has allowed us to expand productivity in some areas and to do more with less. Almost as old as the country itself, the library provides the Congress access to a collection of information that at present day is unparalleled anywhere in the world.
You know what? Maybe she was a target because she focused on promoting diversity. Or maybe she was dangerous because she ensured that the library's vast collection reflected the diversity of the American people. So I guess it's a crime for communities of color to see themselves represented in the library's collection. Oh, and baby, it gets worse, because a few days later, they fired the head copyright official, Shira Perlmutter.
I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I need to get in contact with somebody.
2 words, Tom Jones. Yes, this Tom Jones. Tom Jones and his American Accountability Foundation has been trying to get rid of Dr. Carla for the past year. He runs a DEI watch list, and yes, it's an actual list. And guess what? You can earn yourself a front row seat on the DEI watch list if you have diversity, equity, or inclusion in your bio or title.
Wait a minute, this ain't right.
It seems like if you're Black, brilliant, bold, or have any type of backbone, you're a target. Meanwhile, we have our Secretary of Education confusing AI with steak sauce.
First graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. Now, okay, let's see A1 and how can that be helpful? How can it be helpful in one-on-one instruction?
Guys, don't cry. Don't cry regarding our youth. We do have someone who is fighting daily. His name is King Randall. I have about 5 or 6 hours of content with him, so I'm only going to play a snippet at the end. So stay tuned for that. Before we do that, I want to play something that I found on one of his social media platforms.
So this guy's name is King Randall, and he ran like a little experiment. He posted a post talking about how he was going to vote for Trump, and he took a look at those comments. And then he posted something saying that he was going to vote for Kamala. And then he took a look at those comments. And y'all, it might shock you, but take a look at what he found out. Make sure you like the video right here, repost, do all the things right here, but check this out.
I made 2 separate videos before the election. One of the videos said I was going to vote for Kamala Harris. The other video said I was going to vote for Donald Trump. And I just wanted to see the mixed reactions from people and how people would react, because I do a lot of work from my hometown, do a lot of work from my community. I work with young boys. And I never said who I was voting for. But I made those 2 videos because I wanted to show people how they are in reality. I made the Donald Trump video and I made the Kamala Harris video. Under the Kamala Harris video, you definitely had some Trump supporters like, well, we understand that you may have a different opinion or whatever, but we still support what you do. Maybe you'll wake up one day, et cetera, et cetera. You know, things like that. It wasn't nothing vile, wasn't no bad comments or nothing. I made the Donald Trump video. I got people that unfollowed me. I got people saying they can't support nothing I do no more. I got folk calling me all types of names, et cetera, et cetera. But what's crazy is all of the Kamala Harris supporters have become what they accuse Trump supporters of being. When you say you support Donald Trump, y'all be ready y'all ready to hang at the stake. You calling them all types of names, you're unfollowing me, you don't care what they're doing for their community, nothing. If you support Trump, I do so much, et cetera, et cetera. But all the people under the post, all the Trump supporters, when I said I was going to vote for Kamala, it was all love anyway. They was like, well, we still support what you're doing. We still gonna donate. We still love the work, even though you don't have to support Donald Trump, et cetera, et cetera. So I've only received hate from the people that call themselves the tolerant side, the side that's supposed to be about love, the side that's not about. But it's crazy because anytime somebody doesn't agree with you, all you spew is, all you give is. So it's funny how everybody who call themselves Democrats, you have turned into what you accuse the Republicans of being.
Let me know what you think about that in a comment right now. Seriously, leave a comment. Make sure you like the video. Post, repost, follow for more. Do all the things. See you on the next one.
See, I was part of that experiment and I understood the assignment, and the main ingredients were the leaders who would say stupid things like, if you are black, you should be doing this, or you ain't black if you don't do that. But let me ask you guys something. What about the power of association? How big of a role does that play? Because,
You grew up in South Africa.
Yeah.
You were in the army there?
No, I left at 17. Well, in part in order to avoid conscription into the South African
so you
army.
left so that you didn't have to do the army.
Right. So good for you. Right.
Right on. Elon Musk. Draft dodger.
y'all know me, I tried to see the glass as half full because I was like, wow, he wasn't like this before. So could it be this guy?
You may have seen the news going around that Trump has now brought white South Africans to the United States, and he's fast-tracking their refugee status to ultimately grant them citizenship. If you want to know why he's doing that or what's going on, follow along, I'll explain. So to find Trump's memo, search this and then click this. But first I want to explain what this word Afrikaners means. Afrikaners are a group of white people in South Africa who are descendants of the Dutch, and they were the masterminds of apartheid in South Africa. And you've probably heard the word apartheid. There are brilliant people out there who've spent their lives studying it and who lived within it. So please go watch and listen to resources other than this one on what apartheid is. But for really simple purposes, apartheid was racial segregation that existed in South Africa. It did not end until the early 1990s. I personally love Trevor Noah's book, and I think it highlights how recent apartheid was. But if you have any other resources on apartheid that you think are good, please let me know. I'd love to read them. But back to what Trump is doing in bringing Afrikaners to the United States. So white people in South Africa only make up about 7% of the population, but they own about 72% of the land. I found that by searching what percentage of land do Afrikaners own, and this is the South African government's land audit report. And of the 7% of white people that live in South Africa, only about 60% of that group is Afrikaners. So the South African government is facing a problem where all of these African and colored people who were not able to own land in apartheid now do not have land, even though they make up the bulk of the population in the country. So they're trying to find ways to give land back to families who had it taken from them during apartheid, and they're doing it in something called the Expropriation Act 13, which you can find the full text of right here. And you can see the goal of the act right here. A person or community who is dispossessed of their property after 1913 is entitled to the restitution of that property or to equitable redress. So if your land was taken from you, you are entitled to have some land back from the government. And the way they are planning to do that is if it's deemed for the public good, they will pay you for your land. It says the amount of the compensation and time and manner of payment must be just and equitable, reflecting an equitable balance between the public interest and the interests of those affected. So this happens in many countries. If the government feels that they need your land, they will pay you for it. But, and this is the part that Trump has taken issue with, it does say that there are some scenarios where they will not pay you for your land, and you can read those here. And the main theme of all this is that they can take your land without paying you only if you are not actively using that land and not benefiting from the land. So how does this involve Trump? Let's find out. In this headline, he says he's addressing the egregious actions of the Republic of South Africa. And in it, you can see that Trump says because of that act that I showed you, and because South Africa spoke out against Israel, that they are now deemed a national security threat to our nation. And as a result, the United States is going to promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees who are escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation, and that they're going to prioritize their admission to the United States. So what all of this means is that despite the fact that Donald Trump ran on a policy of America first and not getting involved in global conflicts, he is now inserting himself into the politics of apartheid and claiming that white Afrikaners are the victims of racial discrimination since they're the ones whose land is being repossessed by the government, when the reason their land is being repossessed by the government is because them and their ancestors were the perpetrators of apartheid. And they only have that land because it was taken from the indigenous people of South Africa. And I am not saying that every Afrikaner supported apartheid. They didn't, but every Afrikaner benefited from apartheid. And I know in the United States, we love to be like, this was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Like, I can't be responsible for what my ancestors did. This was 1992. This isn't even like people's grandparents. This is me. I was born in 1992. So how recent does a problem have to be for us to think it's worth solving? And what do the victims of a problem have to look like for us to think a problem is worth solving? And finally, why does Trump suddenly care about South Africa? Like, who in his orbit is making him care about protecting white people in South Africa and advocating for white people in South Africa? That's the problem I'm most confused by. I don't have an answer for that. Does anyone have an answer for that?
Yeah, DT, go on and raise your hand because I think you're the only person who has an answer to that. I don't remember you being like this your first term, so I just quickly assumed power of association. But here lately,
Hey, bro. What? Oh my God! So South African farmers are fleeing to America because they allege that they are dealing with violence. And I'm confused because Donald Trump just gave them a fast track to become a U.S. citizen. So we gotta be all the way real here. Why them? Why do they get the fast track over here to become citizens? There's people all over the world that's dealing with worse conditions than this. So what makes this different for Donald Trump? This clearly looked like favoritism. The ultimate protection for the complexion. Trump, the same person that was trying to ban certain people from coming over here from over there. Y'all remember? Now all of a sudden we got this open door. He feels so bad about them. When, like I said, there's a whole lot of people going through it, not just them. Somebody make this make sense. Y'all telling me I'm tripping? Do y'all think I'm tripping?
So the Afrikaners, they finally got what they wanted. You could see the smiles on their face. They're so happy to be in America. And this whole thing, it was so controversial. Many black South Africans, they were saying that these Afrikaners, they were living in privilege.
That's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are they happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about.
What do you guys think about this? Trump, he signed that executive order back in February, but now we're finally seeing the first wave of Afrikaners arriving in the U.S. I personally think Elon Musk, he asked Trump for a favor. That's why this is all happening. But what do you think? Comment below.
Yes, please comment below. Meet me down in the comment section and support this channel, please. Because this one's going to be tight. I'm not exactly sure YouTube is going to support this one, so I need your support. You guys know how I feel about the E, the Lon, the Musk. So this next person, she really drove it home. So I'm going to use her video to complete my audio version of this here thing, okay? And then we're going to bring in King Randall.
So the orange one and the awkward one have decided to bus a whole bunch of white South Africans into the United States while deporting black and brown people out of America. Apparently, being a white South African is just so hard. And every time they try to go to other white countries like Australia and England, those countries are like, no. These white South Africans are in for a surprise because, like I said, Americans don't actually want them here. And I'm not even talking about, the sensible Americans that think this is absolutely insane and discriminatory and inhumane. But I'm talking about even the Republicans, the red states, the MAGA. They don't actually want them here. They just need to bolster their population because according to them, the white population is, under the threat of extinction. So they're getting as many white refugees that they can, which I digress a little bit. Back in the 70s, when the birth rates of white people started falling and immigrants from Europe stopped coming to America with good reason. So now they've gone all the way out to South Africa to find white people that want to be here. The reason why I said white South Africans are not going to have fun in America is because in South Africa, white South Africans are the numeric minority, okay? South Africa has 63 million people.
Please support this person. She's got some really good stuff on her channel. I want to discuss what she's talking about down in the comment section. Okay, back to the video.
White people are only 4.4 million. That is 7.3%. Meanwhile, in America, the population is 336 million. The white population is 225 million. So these white South Africans are only used to competing with 4.4 million people. In America, they're going to be competing against 225 million, half of which don't even want them there, and the other half are only tolerating them. And in South Africa, where the minority white population owned 70% of the land, majority of the political power, and, international influence, they're not going to have that in America. They're refugees. They're starting from scratch. No land, no jobs. Yeah, they speak English, but it's a little different. And I know you're thinking, well, they're white people will accept them. No. Remember the Italians, the Irish? Yeah, it's not gonna go as well as they hope. They're not gonna have their maids, their farm workers. They will be the farm workers because remember, they're going into red states. They will be part of the poor white population. And if you know anything about the poor white population in America, is that America also doesn't like them. I mean, look at how Trump is using or rather use them for votes, and now he's cutting off all their benefits. Egg prices are through the roof. So if you think, if you're a white South African and you think it's gonna be good here, no, it won't. You're gonna be very poor. Which is kind of what you wanted anyway. They've been saying in South Africa ever since the end of apartheid, how they're poor and they're not doing well. Well, now, guess what? You get to stand on business because you're really gonna be poor in America. I guess you forgot to Google capitalism and realize that capitalism needs poor white people in order to survive.
All right, so I'm not going to play her entire video. Please make sure you go to her channel and support. Also, meet me down in the comment section to discuss. Okay, all right. Now,
Valerie, focus us back, and we are digressing.
I muted
Yeah, I muted his account and stuff. I just posted earlier, I don't get into mudslinging. I don't get into clearing anything up. I'm just simply trying to work with the children in my program. And I'm grown.
Yeah.
I don't have time for no childish games, and I'm definitely not getting into it with any commentators that all they do is comment. I don't make comments, I do work. So I don't have time, for that childishness. I mean, he can post whatever he like. I understand he's under a lot of scrutiny right now because of what he did, but that's his own fault. I didn't do nothing. I didn't push it. I have never called him any names, never tried to, make it all, about me or anything. Everybody else did that. Everybody else agreed with what I said. So he just did that to himself.
Yeah. How do you feel when your elder attacks? Like, how did it make you feel knowing that? Because you were quick to mention that once upon a time you admired this person.
Well, honestly, at first, he started attacking me on Twitter. At first, he started bothering me. And I never bothered Mr. Rowland. He started bothering me on Twitter first, and I'm not sure why. And, that's kind of where my, me being a fan kind of dissipated. So, after that, I didn't really feel any type of way because I've dealt with this ever since I started my program. People are always like, how are you, going to be 19 and you're going to teach somebody how to be a man? You're not even grown and stuff like that. And I'm just like, how are you going to tell me about helping these kids when what we're doing is working and you're not doing anything? So I don't really, I don't care how old they are. If you're older, younger, if you're not doing what I'm doing, when Roland Martin go open the school, then I'll have a back and forth with him. But until then, he can just keep on talking and keep on saying what he has to say. But that's his job, to talk, get people riled up, and keep getting them to send him cash outs.
It's rewind time. I get a kick out of people who love to present a different picture, and frankly, they lie. Check this out. Remember the dude we had on the show who was booked to talk about voter suppression? This guy, a new emerging king, the dude from Albany. He goes, my favorite portion of this interview with Roland Martin, this part was so beautiful, do for self, blah, 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 blah. So then, of course, that troll, Boyce Watkins, decides to talk to him, and Boyce trifles. Boyce is also a liar. Yeah, Ben is getting real uncomfortable on this show. It's calling him
I know, I'm good.
So little King Randall got all these little trolls. Oh, Roland Martin don't like doing for self. I created this, so that's kind of stupid.
That's it.
And so they were all running their mouths. Oh, you should be celebrating this king for starting his own school, or why you hating on them? And I had to explain to people that, well, maybe part of the problem, because y'all like, oh, you trying to tear him down? I say, well, maybe part of the problem is y'all don't want to accept the reality that he agreed to come on the show to talk about voter suppression. But then he wanted to do a bait and switch when he was on the show. Just in case folk think I'm lying.
Oh, no, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
See, this is what I tweeted. Voter suppression bill from Georgia Republicans. Black Republicans like Alveda King, Bruce Lavelle, Angie Stanton, Janelle Kay, Jalen Johnson, New Emerging King, also quiet, Paris Denard, C.J. Pearson, Kim Baltimore. King Randall tweets, drop the lower third. LOL, I'm glad you thought of me, though. Jalen Johnson, you want to go on the show? Interesting. That's what he tweeted. So guess what happened next, y'all? What happened next was, I said this. Son, you're a black conservative from Georgia. Easy question, New Emerging King, Jalen Johnson. Do y'all endorse and support the Georgia Republicans' voter suppression bill? Do y'all stand with black people? Come back to me, please. I then sent this. Y'all gonna love this one here. Hey, Jalen Johnson, you really don't think Georgia Republicans isn't targeting black people? Y'all see where it says this tweet was deleted by the tweet author? That's where Jalen tweeted, oh, he not gonna have us on the show. Y'all see he deleted it. King Randall responded, he ain't gonna do it. All he gonna do is get 10 people on a panel versus us two and overtalk us the whole time like a female, LOL. That's what King Randall, Mr. Manly Mans, tweeted. Come back to me, please. Last one. Here's the tweet. King Randall, LOL, send an invite and tell me when. Guess what? When Randall came on the show, I'm not bothered with voting. I'm all about doing for self. It's called bait and switch. Yeah. See, so if y'all want to sit out here and say, man, why are you condemning this young brother, who bought his own school and bought his own bus? The topic was never his school. The topic was never the bus. I just showed you the receipts. He was invited to discuss voter suppression, but he did not want to do it. And now you want to post edited clips, on how you schooled me and I was attacking this young brother. And then you got Boyce Watkins, who is nothing but a clout click chaser. Because he can't build his own audience. He got to use me to build his audience.
A clout click chaser? It's a thing. It's a thing.
See, I told y'all I have receipts. So I wasn't condemning the brother, but since he decided to switch the topics by trying to say, I don't really care about voting, I'm about self, when he was invited because he was defending voter suppression on Twitter.
All right, so I had to play that part so you guys would know what was going on. Not being messy, not trying to resurrect any past drama, but I had to play that so it'll make sense. So when I play this part, this is where Mo and I introduce Judge Joe Brown to King Randall. This is the first time they met. Okay, so here's this audio.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. I was trying to be funny. I don't interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Okay, my bad. But yeah, Mr. Rolo was being, bothering me on Twitter. I'm not sure why, because I call myself a black conservative, but he kind of equate that with Republican and white people and all that stuff, but that's not necessarily the case. But he started bothering me on Twitter.
Him? Oh, hell.
Say it again?
He's synonymous with white folks. I keep thinking of him as a little pug dog with a collar and a leash around it, being walked, full to heel.
We should have brought it over.
Go on and
sir.
shout out
Your
Twitter as you explain how he approached you. So make sure you get that because we want to make sure our listeners can support you as well. So
absolutely. Well, my Twitter is @NewEmergingKing. But Mr. Rowland was actually tagging me in a few posts on Twitter, kind of bothering me and, attacking me about, he was trying to call me Republican, and he called me an idiot in one of my posts saying that we black people should try to do stuff for our own community instead of, asking the government and stuff. So he called me an idiot. So he'd been bothering me for a while, and he finally was like, well, y'all come on the show then. And, y'all talk about voter suppression or whatever. And I kept telling him in the tweet, I'm like, that's not my fight. I'm like, I fight and I work with children. I try to fight for young black men. That's my biggest concern. So he called me on the show and he tried to talk about voter suppression. I kept explaining to him that that is not my fight. That is his fight, and I work with children. So he asked me what my fight was and what did I mean by doing for self. And I simply explained what I was doing and how I'm able to do for self. And he kept trying to tell me how we're not able to do for self when I'm sitting there telling him we just did it. Me and some teenagers just went and showed you we could do for self, But he kept trying to argue with me. He never would say good job, never would, at least say, that's cool or something, for helping the black community. He wanted to fight the whole time. And, I kept it respectful. I didn't call him any names. And I, remained respectful the entire interview because I knew that him doing that was only going to make him look bad. And he brought me a lot of fans, from him not acknowledging the work that we're doing and him trying to bully me on the show. And I kind of just let it happen. And I told my piece and I kept moving. So, after that, I didn't really feel any type of way because I've dealt with this ever since I started my program. People are always like, how are you, going to be 19 and you're going to teach somebody how to be a man, you're not even grown and stuff like that. And I'm just like, how are you going to tell me about helping these kids when what we're doing is working and you're not doing anything? So I don't really, I don't care how old they are. If you're older, younger, if you're not doing what I'm doing, when Roland Martin go open the school, then I'll have a back and forth with him. But until then, he can just keep on talking and keep on saying what he has to say. But that's his job, to talk, get people riled up and keep getting them to send him cash outs. Just like I just posted earlier, I don't get into mudslinging. I don't get into clearing anything up. I'm just simply trying to work with the children in my program. And I'm grown. Yeah. I don't have time for no childish games, and I'm definitely not getting into it with any commentators that all they do is comment. I don't make comments. I do work. So I don't have time, for that childishness. I mean, he can post whatever he like. I understand he's under a lot of scrutiny right now because of what he did, but that's his own fault. I didn't do nothing. I didn't push it. I have never called him any names, never tried to, make it all, about me or anything. Everybody else did that. Everybody else agreed with what I said, so he just did that to himself.
Roland likes a stiff one stuck up his rear end so far.
They did it for,
young man, I need a good fight. My Twitter handle is @JudgeJoeBrownTV. Next time he tries to attack you, highlight me, and I'll see if I can't jump in on the case. All right? I feel
yes,
like
sir.
By the way, anybody ever heard this saying called, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
it's on my vision board.
Yeah. What kind of solutions has Roland Martin provided for black folks?